Hey all, this is Reddit Tosker. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom had its first extended gameplay showcase today. It showed off quite a bit. It showed off combat, it showed off how the weapon crafting system is going to work, it demonstrated more of your arm abilities, and it more clearly detailed how the vehicle customization and crafting is going to work. And there's quite a few other subtler things that I want to cover in a separate video. But in this video, I want to talk about the reaction that I saw in the live stream that I did, in the Nintendo comment sections, and in my own comment sections. Let me show you one of the best examples of what I'm talking about. I'm going to pick out a high quality comment that well articulates the position of the people that are disappointed. The comment reads, "What we saw was awesome, but they've still done nothing to quiet my fears about the game world feeling stale. With all the thousands of interactions they had to develop, I fear most of the dev time went into perfecting the gameplay and abilities rather than changing the game world. It looked relatively unchanged. Yeah, there were new points of interest, but the game world itself looks exactly the same, and I know what that looks like. I spent nearly 1,000 hours exploring it. The magic is gone. I have a feeling it won't be recaptured, but I hope I'm wrong. I just haven't seen it in any trailer. I keep thinking, surely they're hiding something big, but we've seen a huge shot of the landscape. Nothing is different in any meaningful way." So this is the first type of comment that I want to point out. The disappointment that comes from Breath of the Wild fans that really like Breath of the Wild to the point that this guy spent 1,000 hours on it, and that doesn't think what he's seen so far leads him to believe that he'll be able to interact with this adjusted world in a meaningful way. Not in any way that recaptures the interest he had before. And I'd also like to point out the second type of disappointed Zelda fan, like the following ones. "It looks good, but I'm not that blown away like other people are. The creative things you'll be able to do look fun, but I still want aspects of classic Zelda games in it as well, and I don't know if we'll get that this time, sadly." Here's another one. "Game is everything I feared. Looks like Breath of the Wild with a couple of more abilities. Losing hope for dungeons or items or anything that resembles old Zelda at all." So, the two groups of disappointed people, as far as I can tell, are the ones that don't think that the changes they've seen so far are significant, and the classic Zelda fans, who are hoping for more elements of their traditional classic Zelda games to make their way into Tears of the Kingdom, and that what they've seen so far doesn't reflect what they were hoping for. Now, what I would say to both of those group of players, I think, is that they're right. With no caveats and no exceptions, they are correct. Before this gameplay reveal, I had said that we still had not seen the hook. We had not seen the thing that would differentiate Tears of the Kingdom from Breath of the Wild. But now with this latest trailer, I think we have seen the hook. I think we know what's going to set Tears of the Kingdom apart. It's the variable ways that you can do fusions. Fusing weapons to weapons, fusing weapons to parts, fusing items to arrows, fusing vehicle piece to other vehicle piece. That's the hook. That's the last piece of the puzzle. That's what we were missing. I believe that we now have an accurate idea of what Tears of the Kingdom was going to be like. If we didn't have one before, we have one now. And that means that the people that were disappointed are right to be disappointed, because I don't think that there's anything else they're going to show that is going to improve their opinions of the game. Let me explain what I'm talking about. If you're the first type of disappointed fan that liked Breath of the Wild, but doesn't think that this sequel is going to recapture the magic, then I really think it's over for you. I don't think they're going to show anything else that's going to recapture that for you. This is it. This is what the game is like. I do think that Nintendo is still being deliberately vague. I do think that they're still hiding things. Important, cool things are still being sequestered away from us. But what we've seen represents a lot of the core gameplay loop. It represents a lot of what the game's appeal is going to be. So if this doesn't look good to you, I don't think whatever else they're hiding is going to change that. And similarly for the classic Zelda fan that would like more classic Zelda things in their Tears of the Kingdom, I also believe it's over for you as well. I no longer think that there are going to be dungeons, at least not in the way that the classic Zelda fan wants there to be dungeons. I do still think that there are going to be dungeons. I do think that the Tears of the Kingdoms are items that you'll have to go into dungeons to get. I do think that the dungeons will have puzzles, and will be significantly larger than what we had with the Divine Beasts. Much better than the Divine Beasts. But I don't think that there'll be dungeons as the classic Zelda fan describes dungeons. For example, I don't think that they're going to have themes. I don't think that they'll have unique theme songs. I no longer think that there's going to be a unique atmosphere for all of them. And while there will still be puzzles, Tears of the Kingdom is going to keep Breath of the Wild's emphasis on freedom, and so you won't need any specific item that you get in the dungeon to clear the dungeon. You're not going to find a hookshot. You're not going to find iron boots that you need to use to clear the area. You'll be able to beat these dungeons with what you have on hand at the moment that you enter. Most importantly, I don't think that they're going to have unique architecture. I think that they're going to have the same kind of architecture and theme song for all of them. All 7 of the dungeons, if there are 7. And that's if there's dungeons at all. For the classic Zelda fan, I do still think that there's a big possibility that the story is more traditionally told. I think that the existing trailers do suggest we won't be running around looking for memory cutscenes. But other than that, if what you've seen for Tears of the Kingdom so far doesn't include enough of the classic Zelda archetypes and elements that would make you as a classic Zelda fan satisfied, then it's just not going to. I think it's over. I think it's over for both of these groups of individuals. What we see is what we're going to get. It is now an accurate representation of what the gameplay is going to be like. And I believe Nintendo is not going to show very much from now until release. They've been so cautious, and even this gameplay reveal is still so cautious. They're confident that this game is going to sell, and I think they're trying to avoid spoilers. I think they want to give people a surprise. So there may well be a great deal of interesting things in the game. I don't think they're going to show it to us. I think that they want to leave it as a surprise. Whatever else interesting that's going on, I don't think we're going to see it, or at least not very much of it at all. This trailer is it. This is their big Zelda Direct people were hoping to see. News for Zelda from here on out is going to be barren. If they're going to reveal anything at all, it will be one more thing, and it won't be major. It will be a trailer on the level of what we've seen so far, and I'm positive that it will not change the mind of players who currently find themselves disappointed. However, personally, I'm quite satisfied with what we saw. I'm still excited for what they could potentially show. I would still like to see more of the underground section we saw in the trailer before this one, but I'm very interested in the hook that they've presented. The weapon and vehicle fusion could be incredibly in-depth. They probably only showed the surface of it. This pretty much guarantees that the monster parts that we've been looking at that look like weapons can be attached to your existing weapons. The main complaint I always hear for Breath of the Wild from people is the weapon durability. I think this system greatly alleviates that. People are going to mind losing their weapon a lot less if it gives them the opportunity to experiment with a wide variety of combinations. They'll be less hesitant to engage a monster encampment if they want those monster horns as weapon attachments. Now, of course, I fully see why this might not be enough. What we've seen, this hook, might not be enough for some people to justify a $70 purchase. I get it. But it does do it for me. What we've seen, and the potential for what we haven't seen, is more than enough to get me excited. Even if it is just bigger Breath of the Wild with weapon fusions and vehicle crafting. And that's the end of this video. Please unsubscribe and unclick the bell notification. If you're a classic Zelda fan like myself, please bemoan in the comments the death of your favorite game series. And if your favorite game is Breath of the Wild, be sure to pour salt upon their wounds. Rub it in by telling them that they're never going to see a classic Zelda-style game again. If I haven't alienated you enough to do any of that, then I am sure I'll get you in a future video. Until then, thank you very much for watching.